Happy Wednesday, hot news, everybody. Welcome back to the latest tech news that you can find on the internet. We're going to talk about KFC's stupid, ridiculous console, not for the reasons that you may think, all right? Just besides the fact that it's supposed to heat up your chicken. I'm not going to be talking about that all too much. We got the Apple laptops continuing to just dominate, as well as the fact that Elon Musk was spurned by Tim Cook himself. So we'll get into that after nothing. There's no sponsor for today. So let's just jump into the hot news, which is number one, this KFC console, which actually has been delayed by over a month. I don't know if you remember this, was initially supposed to launch at the same time as the Xbox Series consoles, the S and the X, on November 12th. That never happened. And then KFC console was kind of mum about whether or not it was ever actually going to come out because it was supposed to just be a meme. As far as I was aware, well, it turns out that they turned it into a reality. So I present to you the KFC console, which is obviously as absurd as it sounds. The advertising for it is absurd, but you can see here that it is indeed a real product that they potentially are going to be making. I'm going to highly doubt that they're going to sell these retail, and I'll get to that in a second, but it's supposed to have a chicken warming basket, as you can see here, with all of the components lying down below. And KFC on their Twitter, KFC Gaming Twitter, is just going nuts about making sure that this is a big deal, which obviously is really insane. But I want to talk for a second about the components that they chose to use, because you think, okay, it's a console, this is clearly a joke, so what are they actually going to do? So it turns out that it's actually a gaming computer, but not just any gaming computer. They're saying you can play your games in stunning 4K 240 FPS. That comma right there is pretty sneaky, sis, because that 3090 or 6900 XT you throw in there is not going to be able to do that. But you know what else is not going to be able to do that? This piece of garbage little brain of the console that they're throwing in here, the Intel NUC 9 with the Core i9 9th gen processor. This frustrates me so much. Do you know what that is? It's an i9 9980HK. That is a almost 2 generation old mobile processor in there that they're saying is going to be good enough for 4K 240 FPS. That thing is slower than the processors that are in my consoles right over there. The PlayStation 5 and the Series X have better processors than this NUC 9. That thing sucks. Why are they even doing this? And obviously you can see that they're probably going to be putting RTX 30 level graphics in this, but they're VR ready, ray tracing, 240 FPS. So it's clearly an RTX 30 series card, and you can actually see that in the breakdown here. You see GeForce RTX down there. In my opinion, this is likely going to be a 3070 based on the size that they actually have to work with here. But the freaking NUC, what is that? And just to tell you why this upsets me the most, they're not selling this retail. I don't think anybody could ever buy this because, number one, they're clearly just selling a gaming PC, not much else to it. It's probably going to have a terabyte of storage and 16 to 32 gigs of RAM. It's going to be an okay gaming PC, but let me just inform you of how much this NUC 9 costs. You can find this piece alone for $750. You want to add extra components, you're looking closer to $1,500, which is obviously way more expensive than the current gen consoles. That's obviously insane. And actually, there was a gaming computer that came out with one of these recently. Oh, it was the Razer Tomahawk, and it has a base price, not including GPU, of $2,400. So you're telling me that the KFC console, which has more customization than a small little box that Razer's coming out with, isn't going to cost at least the same, if not more? Yeah, there's no chance that these are ever going to see the retail light of day, or if they do, it's going to be a small production run of 100. Basically, what I expect to see is you're going to see them on Linus Tech Tips, maybe MKBHD. They're going to throw them around to all of the big influencers, maybe do a little bit of a giveaway with Intel's gaming promotion to try to keep Intel relevant. But honestly, an i9 9980HK, a mobile processor that is obsolete already. It's like dead. They're going to be announcing 11th gen in just like 3 weeks. This is absurd and bad and frustrating. And I want one. KFC, Intel, you guys listening? Hit me up. I'll shill for you. You're not going to buy it. It's just obviously meant to get people to talk about it, and they're winning. They're absolutely winning. But you know who else is winning in the computing space? Apple. Absolutely. We got more apps announcing their support for the M1 Max, which includes Parallels so that you can now run Windows on your Mac, your M1 Mac. That's going to be possible. There's a few hiccups that they're still working on. It's actually in a technical preview, so you can't install or start an x86 based operating system in a virtual machine. There's a bunch of other caveats that are happening there. But on top of that, somebody also got a Nintendo Switch emulator to work on the M1 Max, so much so that they're able to at least start Super Mario Odyssey on the actual Mac, which is incredible. It can't actually get into the game, and when it does, it's not a very good frame rate, but this is showing just the future possibilities that are happening. But on top of that, the one that I've been waiting for is now Adobe has released Premiere Pro Beta for M1 Max, which means that I could potentially start switching over to my MacBook Air to see if I could actually get better productivity out of it on the MacBook Air. It's still technically in beta. They're doing a phase rollout. Not everything's going to be supported at this point, but if you do just kind of jump cut editing styles, it actually might be good enough for you at this point. But Microsoft's determining that Intel and AMD are no longer good enough for them, with them getting reported on from Bloomberg that they are potentially looking into developing their own Azure processors. This is something that's kind of been in the works because of server environments are just always developing their own processors. Amazon's already switched over to some of theirs. Anyways, the big news really here is that they're also looking to do this for their Surface PCs, their laptops, their Gos, their Surface desks, all of that. Do you guys remember, I think it was like back in 2008 or something, Microsoft had, or 2010, Microsoft had this like projection table that was called the Surface. I think that was like the original name, and it was one of the first like 10-point multi-touch things, and it used projection from the base. I wanted one of those forever, and I was, in high school back then, so I couldn't afford one, and now they go for, I think, like $6,000 on eBay. But in case you have access to one, just send me an email. I'd love to actually just see it, because I dreamed about that thing as a high school student. And a lot of people were dreaming that Lian Li would update their Uni Fans to be supported in 140mm variety, and they have indeed done that. They're now available on Newegg in case you want to pick that up. They've also announced the Strimmer Plus triple 8-pin for the new RTX cards in case you need RGB 8 pins on your new RTX cards. On top of that, we're also getting a product update from Corsair. This is actually a leak courtesy of video cards. The H150i and the H100i Elite Capellix look to be getting in a white color, so you could have that, except for the actual, base plastic of it, which is still going to be black. You go through all of the effort to make everything else white, and then you leave one part black. I guess also the stickers, but it's the same thing with white graphics cards that have a black PCB. You didn't go the full length to make it actually all white. The RGB is the accent. You don't need the black as the accent. We have tons of coolers that come in black. We got that. I'll get off that high horse now. Another product update. It turns out that AMD is readying some non-X varieties of the Ryzen 5000 series chips for OEMs, Ryzen 5 5900 and 5800 potentially coming out. Not the 100 odd watt TDPs that they would have, but good enough to be in OEMs. And while AMD is expecting that stuff to sell well, Intel did not get their Avengers chip to sell well because the 10th gen Avengers lineup is now going end of life. Yeah, did you remember that? That came out like a couple months ago, and it's gone. It's end of life. So don't just try to buy them. I don't know. But it turns out that even though Intel isn't getting the performance that you would want, so people aren't buying it, even if you can't get the performance on Cyberpunk, people are still buying that. Cyberpunk 2077 now being reported to have sold 13 million copies after refunds and all of the rebates that have gone out. That 13 million is after the 8 million pre-orders that existed, so 5 million people have purchased it after launch, even given the state of the game. Probably one of the reasons why CD Projekt Red is even disclosing this information at this point is because they want investors to know that things are okay, even with the doom and gloom and Sony pulling it off the PlayStation Store and you can't buy it there anymore. They're likely trying to alleviate investors and let them know, listen, we made $780 million in revenue, so we had a bigger launch than Red Dead Redemption 2. So just chill. But probably one of the reasons why they had a bigger launch than Red Dead Redemption 2 is because it took 18 months for Rockstar to put that on PC. But that's another conversation. Stardew Valley is getting couch co-op, by the way. Biggest update ever. 5th year anniversary is coming up soon. You go check the internet for more details on all of the patch notes because it's a huge update that's coming to that. And a huge update to Apple's product lineup with the Apple Car now being reported by Reuters that it should start production in 2024. You might be able to actually grab one towards the end of that year or in 2025, with it being reported that they're going to have breakthrough battery technology, part of lithium iron phosphate, as well as monocell designs, and it's going to be great, and everybody's going to love it, and it's going to use LiDAR, and nobody's going to be able to afford it, and then you can't repair it. But oh, wait, there's already an electric car company that makes it so you can't repair their cars, so it's just going to become an industry standard that you can't do that. Anyway, in response to that, Elon Musk tweeted out that this was strange, if true, because a monocell is electrochemically impossible, according to him, and then as well, that during the darkest days of the Model 3 program, he reached out to Tim Cook to discuss the possibility of Apple acquiring Tesla, and he refused to take the meeting. I can tell you exactly why this happened. It's because Tim Cook and Apple have been sold on LiDAR. It's in their phones. That's the technology that they're using for the autonomous driving. And Elon Musk has been on record saying LiDAR is a piece of anus. So that's, you blew your chance, Elon. You gotta not bash LiDAR, my friend. But they're also going to be rolling out full self-driving subscription in 2021, at least according to an Elon Musk tweet. This is coming after somebody said, hey, can I not just buy it because it's 10 grand and I have a lease and I don't want to pay 10 grand when I'm not going to own it for the entire lifespan of the car. And Elon Musk said it's coming out early next year in case you want that. But also next year is when Xbox 360 Halo games are going offline for multiplayer. It's going to be now transitioned over to the, what's it called? The new Halo thing that they launched that everybody has on PC. That one. Freaking Master Chief Collection. That's what I'm trying to say. And then in the last little bit of news, something that you didn't know you need, you didn't know should exist, but now it definitely does. Google teamed up with Nickelback. Yes, that Nickelback, to do a actual parody of their own song Photograph. And it's legit there. I'm not going to play the music for you here because of copyright infringement, but they edited the video and Chad Kroeger sang new verses. What timeline are we in? Why is this happening in 2020? And look at this graph. That's it. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode of Hot News. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of the hot news that we got around here. I'll keep you posted on more tech news tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch your faces in the next episode. Cheers, my friends.